So we got our friend Michael Rogerson
What's
on
up?
the pod, and he is an award-winning magician and just an all-around awesome guy. And we met. Don't remember the year, but I met you on tour with Dangerous Summer and Secondhand Serenade, I believe.
Yeah, 2021 or 2020, 2022, I think.
Yeah, it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact night we met. I remember seeing you do some tricks.
Messed up, dude. I remember
I know.
I'll play.
My short-term memory is not that great. Well, I guess
No,
long-term.
it was whenever they did the Secondhand Serenade. It was that night they did their gender reveal for their baby.
Okay, so that was the night we met, yeah.
Yeah, that was an epic night, man. Yeah, it was a special one for sure. But yeah, we did some magic. We played some music, man. It was good times.
That was in, was that Texas?
Austin, Texas, right?
Austin, Texas.
You guys been here? Obviously, I mean, you have, but Dustin, you been to Austin?
I haven't been to Austin, no. I'd love to, though.
Dude, once you come here, you'll probably move here. I mean, I guess Braden.
Everyone loves
That's
it.
the trend, yeah.
Best, dude. It's the great tacos, great people, dogs live out, tons of dogs.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah, a lot of my buddies from LA, I feel like live in Austin now for some reason. It's just a thing.
Dude, it's the Exodus, dude. Everyone did it.
Yeah.
Everyone from LA came to Austin for sure.
Yeah, I was in LA like during that exodus, and then I left and came back home during that time, and then everyone was just going to Austin. So there must be something to it.
Did you grow up in Texas, or you
Dude,
moved there?
I so yeah, dude, I got a crazy story, but
We want to hear it.
You let me know how far back, dude. I can share whatever.
Start from day one.
Dude,
Popped into existence.
If you wanna get into it, we can definitely. Once I pop, I can't stop though. Yeah, dude. So I was born in Florida. Pretty normal childhood until I was 5. I had a mom, dad, brother, and 5 years old. Family vacation, hanging out with the fam, going up to I think New York and back. And on the way back, we get in a gnarly car accident. So car accident happens. My mom and my brother pass. They die.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. Starts off like just a gnarly childhood. So it's just me and my dad. Then I'll just share like the beginning and you guys can go wherever. I mean, there's so much I could say. My life's gotten freaking nuts from like that to like mysticals to everything. But so that happens. I had a best friend in elementary school. Her name was Taylor. And her mom was single. My dad was single. And they got together, they got married. So then we had a family and that was a whole thing. But then she got in a car accident. She died when she was 18. They got divorced.
Holy.
That was crazy. And then right before, after high school, I actually moved to Vegas to do magic. Right. But then I was on tour with this, I don't know if you know All-Star Weekend. They play with like Hollywood Records. I was on tour with them, just hanging out with them right before they got signed. And while we're during that tour, I get a call, and my dad's like, "Yo, you know your best friend from high school, Zach? Like, what do you think about his mom?" So my dad's trying to run this back. So he gets hooked up with my friend's mom, and 30 days after they met, they got married.
Wow.
Yeah. And now they have 6 kids. Or not, no, my brother has 6 kids. And they're all married. It's a great, yes, we have a whole crazy family. But yeah, my life started off really nuts, dude. And yeah, man. But it really drove me to like, I always was like a seeker after like truth. And like, I always wanted to know, I don't know. I think like seeing how much pain that I was caused and like my stepmom had was like, not, I don't know, she was really hurt as well. There's a whole story with that. I always was like seeking after like what can help people from their pain. And you know, so that's kind of like where I've gotten into some of the, you know, the things we've talked about. Braden is like wondering like there's pain, we all deal with it. Well, what's the cause of it? How do we free ourselves from it? And that ties into like magic, obviously, because like you know, the illusions in the mind, it's very yeah, on brand. So yeah. And then from there, you know, crazy stuff. I was a Christian growing up, so I was, you know, deep into the church. And then when I was living in Vegas, I started questioning stuff. As Sin City might have you do. No, but it wasn't so much I was questioning like I wanted truth, and I wanted to figure out what was going on with that. So I was just like, do I actually believe any of this, or do I just like want to believe? And as I was on tour with All Star Weekend, dude, so it was during that time I was wondering about some stuff, and I was like, all right, I read about this stuff in the Bible, but like I don't see it. Like I don't see these supernatural things happening. But I was really curious about it. So while we're on tour, and if I'm just talking, just interrupt me at any point.
Dude,
We
no,
love
we
it.
love this. This
All right,
is
sweet,
ideal.
dude.
Keep
Yeah.
I'll
going.
just kind of give like a rough picture, then you guys can whatever, we can go do whatever. But basically, I was like, man, like I've grown up in the church. I was like a worship leader, played music, did the whole thing. I was deep in it. But then, yeah, I was just like, but do I actually believe this? And if I like, why is this stuff, this like the stuff that you actually like is cool in the Bible? How come we don't see it? So I wanted to have like a mystical experience. So I was around tour with All Star Weekend. We stop at this one of the guys' house in Alabama, his family's house when we're in Alabama. And he always talked to us how this old farmhouse next to his house was haunted. He lived in the middle of nowhere, like literally the most middle of nowhere I've ever seen. There's no like light poles, there's nothing. Dude, he would share the craziest stories of this haunted house of like seeing figures in like cloaks, speaking backwards Latin, like gnarly. I could tell so many crazy stories about that. But I knew I'm like, yo, if we go to this house, we might see something crazy. And like, I'm trying to see something. I don't care if it's like dark. I want to know that this stuff exists because it's pretty cool. So no one wants to go except for me and this other kid. So we start walking down to this old farmhouse. Everyone who moves in moves out, man. Like there's crazy stories about that, but that's just, extra stuff, but it's nuts. We start walking. There's like the farmhouse is off the road. You have to like walk all the way up to it. And so we start walking up this driveway. And as we do it, the kid who's with me, he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. Like he's joking around the whole time. This is all stupid. You guys are dumb. He starts having an asthma attack, starts freaking out because he sees this shadow being walk across the driveway in front of us. I don't see anything. So he wants to leave. And I'm like, dude, I didn't come this far just to get scared and leave. I have to see something. If I'm going to leave, I want to be scared. So we walk up to this like pole where the shadow figure like went to supposedly. And it's right in front of the house. So we get there. We don't see nothing. I'm like, dude, let's just go around the house and we'll come back. So we're about to go in front of the house. And right as we do that, this like portal or like blue, like, I don't know how to explain this, blue light opened up right in front of our chest, lit up the entire like surroundings, and then just like collapsed and disappeared in front of us and didn't make a sound. Completely silent. And it happened in front of us. So we freak out. We start running down the driveway. I lose my sandals, so I slow down. This kid keeps running. So he doesn't see this next part, but he's running down the driveway. I stop. I pick up my sandals. I go back. And I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool. Kind of want to go back. And as I'm like thinking about going back, this is a different part of the driveway. He doesn't see it. Happens again for me. This blue light opens up in front of me and then just disappears. And I took that as a sign of like, yo, there is stuff out here. Your hunger is like awesome. This is something that was protecting you from like finding the negative side of that world. Because what you look for, you see. So that was kind of the journey into like, yeah, a lot of the mystical stuff as well. And then that got me like really questioning what I believed. Got involved with this like house church after that. I moved back to Florida, who were big into like seeing miracles. They would pray for people. And I was big into that for a while. So I'd pray for people on the streets and see like crazy stuff happen. Like really legit, like bones move under my hands, people crying in the mall. Like it was nuts. But then, from there I was like, how come I don't see people in wheelchairs get up? So I started questioning even more. And that led me to like, the science of like consciousness and how miracles work. And like, it's not about religion. It's about, that's a symbol for belief, and then, yeah, I have a whole stories on like how I started dissecting that. And like, I saw a miracle in a bar, which led me into like realizing how, like what's happening. And that led me into more magic. And yeah, so my life is just like, I just love magic and the mystical and the mysterious and the supernatural. So I'll just throw a bunch at you. Sorry.
Dude,
Sorry if
that
I
was
word vomited.
Man, that's like so much to unpack, but that's crazy.
I know, dude.
I'm trying to think where to start
dude.
here because that's
Yeah.
dang, dude.
Yeah, and dude, that's just a sliver, bro. There's so much crazy stuff with my life, dude.
So I mean, there's so many things I want to get into, but okay, so magic, what did all of that kind of lead you to magic, or was that something you just always had an interest in?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I think everyone loves magic. I just never got out of it. Like I saw David Blaine, his first street magic uh, special in 1997. I loved it. That was when I was like 7, but I didn't really get into it until I was 13. My stepmom and my dad were separated. And I was living at my grandparents' house, just trying to figure out what to do, super anxious. And my dad knew I liked magic, so he took me to a magic shop. And yeah, went to the magic shop, bought a trick deck, kept going back. And the guy who owned the shop was like, dude, stop buying trick decks. I'll teach you sleight of hand. So that kind of saved me, man, because like during the separation, I was pretty lost, and magic was a way of grounding me, getting me. I was super awkward. I was homeschooled as a kid, so that, and then I got put into school and would do magic for people, which like got me like, you know, gave me some social skills.
The magician is always the coolest guy in the room, like no matter what.
Dude, I went from the nerdiest kid in school to like slightly less nerdy. If you could see a picture of me, dude, I was a nerd for sure. But magic was endearing for people, I guess. Um, yeah, but it's also like if you're not good at it, like you become even worse of a nerd.
Right? Yeah.
But if you're good at it, it helps a little bit.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I had a question written down because I looked at your website and saw sort of your the ad for the work you do at corporate events, private parties. And I was just thinking to myself, like, wow, it's so impressive to see a magician in action. And I feel like so much charisma is involved in it. And it's like this exchange of energy, and you have to, like, the people have to be receptive. And that's like such a skill of like working with people. And I always find this fascinating because I'm a musician, but I've always been extremely introverted. So whenever I have to perform, it's like, this is a big deal. I have to put on an act of being an extrovert. So yeah, I was wondering, have you always had like that public speaking skill, or was that like a massive thing you had to work on? Or
Dude, that's an awesome question because like when people know me, man, like uh I would say like my higher self looks like me on stage. It's like Superman. When I get off, you probably feel the same. When you get off stage, you're more like Clark Kent. Like I'm so clumsy in like I drop things all the time. But when I'm doing magic, I'm the opposite. And yeah, so you almost like it's almost like I'm channeling, like you get put into a space that I'm assuming like it's a flow state. You guys know what's up. Uh, but yeah, I've had to like, and it's a skill. When I first started, like I said, I was super socially awkward and I wasn't good. But the more you just do it, the better you get. And it's funny, yeah. There's times where like I'll have something crazy happen in my life, and I have a gig that night, and I have to be funny and witty and like doing my thing. And yeah, something happened in the past 6 months actually. It was pretty heavy, and I had a gig in a couple hours, and I just like snapped into it, and I can still feel it, but you have to just put yourself in a different mode. And then I feed off people. But like you were saying something about like people have to be receptive. What I love about magic is sometimes people aren't receptive, but magic cracks them open. Like when I was younger, I used to try and find the sketchiest people I could find. And I was a nerdy looking kid, but I remember I was in New Orleans once and I went on Bourbon Street and I saw these big old dudes, bro, like the opposite of me. And I went to go show them a card trick. Within seconds, they're all just like little kids. And I took it as like a adrenaline dump, like challenge. Like, can I find the sketchiest looking people I can find that would hate me? And then within a few moments, like they're just like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" Yeah, it's fun.
that's
Yeah,
funny.
anytime you see videos of like yeah, dude, everyone loves it. I remember seeing like I always loved magic. I tried to get into it for like I did it on a tour. I had a deck and me and my tour manager were always practicing. And then, I stopped kind of doing it, but it was so fun because there was like moments where I like got good at certain things. I was like, "Oh, this is so much better." But dude, like, I love watching magicians, and like I remember seeing you do that gender reveal for Second and Serenade. It was wild, dude. Just because that was such a like, not only was it a cool trick, but like it was such a special moment for them, and like you made it so much bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
it's just really cool, man. Like how that can bring people
Yeah, it's
together.
something special. I appreciate you saying that. Magic is so special. I mean, I used to go overseas and stuff, and like I don't speak the language, but magic is something that really, like, I think truth is something that can't be, really communicated. I think there's some Buddhist saying that, like, if you can say like this is God, like it's not God. Like it's and magic to me, man, I had this ayahuasca experience, and in that experience, I just feel like this magic just like for lack of a better word, like downloads, but it was like what you call God is the essence of magic. Like everything is made, it's not that everything was made by God, but everything is made out of God. There's nothing else for anything to be made out of. It's all one. And to me, it's all mystery, it's all magic. And so I think the deepest truth is like what we would call magic or mystery. So that place of wonder, that place of, outside of knowledge, the things that once are like they say enlightenment is like it transcends the mind. So I think we get the closest state to that when like during these tricks, and I think it's because it breaks the mind. And in that state, when the mind glitches, like there's a space of truth that opens up. And we're all sharing this language that like we don't know what it is, but it's this feeling of like, whoa. And dude, I had someone cry the other day, dude. I had them think of like an old childhood friend, and I, read their mind or whatever. And this dude just starts bawling his eyes out at a 4th of July party, rager that everyone's, partying at. He has to leave the room. And it was so beautiful, you know? It just like intercepts people's like, so.
Man, I happened to me one time. I was on the other side of that, so someone made me cry with the magic trick.
No
it was
way.
about the worst nightmare I'd ever had, and he like somehow told me what it was and like what it meant, and oh, dude, wild, super emotional, yeah.
Yeah, when it's like vulnerable like that, when it's something that when you do magic, it can freak people out. But when it's like the mentalism stuff, when it's so personal and so vulnerable, it's like you feel like people can see you. You're not even sure like why am I crying? Because like, but it's like a really deep connection when someone can like feel like that inner space. That's awesome, dude. You have that experience. That's special.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was the first time I ever saw like up close magic.
Was this recently or
No, this was years ago. It was on like one of my first tours. This guy named Casey Magic, I think.
Casey Magic?
Yeah, I forget where he's from, North Carolina or something, but
cool.
He was another guy that like opened for musicians sometimes. And so do you do a lot of touring stuff?
I'm not touring. I do a lot of gigs. I'll go out of town. Like, I did a couple gigs out of state. Like did one in Vegas, California, New York last year, but most of the stuff's in Texas, like or around Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. But yeah, man, I always had this dream since I was a kid, which is funny. Like I always wanted to open an MC band, like for shows. So I would do it in Florida for local bands or whatever. So it was fun getting to like do that or whatever at the show that, we all met at. And then AJ made a comment. He's like, bro, you should come on tour, dude. Like this last time they were here. I'm like, once my dog dies, dude, like I'm down to go on tour. Dude. I just love my dog. Dude.
Yeah, that's fair,
That's
dude.
funny.
Hanging out.
Just straight chilling. What's their name? His or her?
Dude, his name's Charles.
It's a great name. It's a power name.
Yeah, Charles the First was my favorite DJ, and he passed a couple years ago, so he's Charles the Second.
Man,
I love it.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love dogs with like human names. That's my favorite.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I always say that's so funny when it's just like
it is.
Steve or something, dude.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
William. Yeah.
You guys have pets?
I don't have any right now. I grew up with tons of animals. I kind of grew up on sort of a farm, so
Me too.
I'm
That's
used to it.
awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of the farm, you want to hear my craziest farm story?
Absolutely.
Let's hear it.
It made CNN news. This is a true story.
Okay.
So
I'm in.
Dude, so we lived on 18 acres, and our neighbor was a doctor who had exotic animals, right? He had like an emu and zebras and a camel and crazy stuff, kangaroos. So one day, dude, I'm about to leave for school. It's 2005, 15. I'm screaming, Michael, get the first aid kit. So I grab the first aid kit. I come downstairs. I walk out into like the front yard's field. My dad's laying in the grass, white t-shirt, covered in blood. Like something straight out of a movie. Yeah, like barely conscious. Call 911. Came to find out our neighbor's kangaroos escaped and beat the shit out of my dad. Like I'm talking like could have killed him. Our one of the guys who was with his buddy had a hammer, had to hit the kangaroo in the jaw 8 times before it got off my dad. So yeah, then I go to school. I'm like half a day late, and everyone's like, "Dude, where you been?" And I was like, "My bad. My dad got beat up by a kangaroo this morning."
That's insane.
I know, dude. Yeah, it made national news at the time. It's crazy.
That's straight out of a movie.
I know, dude. I got so many weird stories, man. But
that's wild.
Yeah, it's got to be terrifying.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Yeah, he couldn't eat or drink anything for 3 days.
Yeah, those things are jacked too, right? Usually.
Yeah, dude. They're crazy, and usually they're pretty cool. But they all escaped, and like we didn't know that there's a bunch of females like hiding in the barn, and so for whatever reason, like he felt the need to protect them, and so he was super aggro that day. But
that's wild.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. What kind of animals did you have, Dustin? Did you have animals or just like a ranch kind of vibe? Or?
Yeah, we had horses. We had about 7 or 8 horses. It was more of like a hobby farm, so it's not like it was our business or anything. But yeah, so we had horses and ducks and chickens. I don't know, like bunnies and just a bunch of random stuff. But yeah, nothing crazy like that though. I've heard of crazy stories though. It's like people who live by these like kind of exotic farms or like people who have exotic animals. I knew a friend whose dad was deer hunting, and they had a neighbor who had like a couple bears, some lions, like a tiger, some crazy stuff. And they were always worried, like, what if these animals get out? You know, like that would be horrifying. And I remember my friend's dad said that they were in a tree stand and they heard a lion's roar that was like so close that he literally like his life like flashed before his eyes. He's like, oh my God. And he was bow hunting. So all he had was a bow and arrow. And he was like, I am so screwed if this lion actually got out. And I just like think about that because isn't Texas like, doesn't it have, I don't know. You were raised in Texas, right?
No, that's where you're from. Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're from Florida. So that's where that happened.
This is the Florida man story. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I have heard like Texas has like the largest, or people in or residents of Texas like hold more like tigers in private collections than in like the whole wild. So it's like one of the more exotic ownership states.
It makes sense. Crazy, Florida and Texas are both crazy states, dude.
Yeah.
Wait, where was this at? You said
so this is in Minnesota.
Okay.
So I don't know what they did in the winter with those animals. They must have.
Dude, animals escape on the property. Yeah, we would have llamas escape and the zebras, and like it shuts the roads down. It's like a whole thing, dude. We had no lions or anything, but that's crazy, man.
That's nuts. Yeah. I was a little curious. I know what you were talking about, like your background, and it seemed like there was just a lot of, traumatic events, and it's that's so much to go through for, a young kid like that. And do you feel like, because I always feel like things like magic or even music, it's like, it stops all time and it's like you're present, and it almost like takes away, like if someone's going through like a loss or something, I feel like going to a show like magic, it's like you almost take that pain away for a second from somebody. Do you feel like that was related with your background? And I know this is like, we're going kind of back to the beginning, but I wanted to ask you that because that's, it's like all of that trauma as a young kid. I feel like that's so heavy. And, even experiencing loss as an adult now, it's like, I can't imagine going through some of that loss that I've experienced as an adult, like at such a young age. So yeah, I don't know. Do you feel like that's like magic is intertwined with that?
I mean, it's funny. Part of me thinks if I went through that now, it'd almost be worse. I had like I think as a kid, like I had my dad who was such a great support system that like you feel like got your back. But yeah, man, I think, I mean, there was so much going on at that time too, because then like, my dad remarried, and I was honestly like, did not like that. For me, it kind of felt traumatic because my stepmom, like, she's not going to see this, so it's fine. But like once she moved in, man, she was super like triggered by my mom. So like she wouldn't allow pictures of my mom in the house. It was like, or I didn't want to talk about her. Like she would we hid all the photos, and I'm like a little kid, dude. So that kind of stuff like was super traumatizing, I feel like. And then she wasn't great to me either. It was not a good relationship. So when we found the magic, um, dude, it's hard. I don't feel it now. I'm like desensitized to the way it feels. But I remember seeing magic, and it would give me this feeling that, like, I'm sure people feel that when I see them, it was like God's ecstasy. It was the most beautiful feeling I've ever had. And yeah, I think, but that's kind of what I was saying is like, I think these things, music, magic, art, different things, whatever can glitch the brain opens up a deeper truth. Because I really believe, obviously these belief systems and stories, they can, get, almost like ingrained in our body. So we have these like natural trauma responses, but it's just patterns, and it's these stories that we buy into, but I love like the question of asking, like, if I couldn't believe the story, who would I be? How would I feel? And it's like in these moments, music or magic interrupts whatever story is going on in our head, like unconsciously or consciously. And then it's like we get to feel like a breath, like fresh a breath or breath of fresh air of like, ah. And so yeah, man. So that's why, like, even when I do magic, 100%, I think magic music, it doesn't like take the problems away, but it really just, in my mind, it's like, oh, what's actually happening? All our life is good or bad. All of our experience, the story that we're telling. This means something, and so we get to, as entertainers, artists, or whatever, get to like glitch that, and let them transcend. And for me, I like to like kind of share that during my shows if I can, to be like, yo, like, can we just pay attention to what's happening real quick? Like, why is this person crying? What's happening? Because this translates to other things as well, you know?
Yeah, there's so much going on underneath everybody, like all the time.
All the time.
And
dude.
it's like the older I get, I'm just so much more aware of like how I don't know how to explain it, but just everyone interacts. There's always this kind of like, it's like a script almost, like how you just have this wall, like we all have it, But I feel like the more I get aware of it, the more it kind of bums me out, where I'm just like, man, like so much of society and life is just like surface level,
Just running programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think having some sort of whatever kind of practice it is, just awareness, whatever you want to call it, whether that's just getting in nature, psychedelics, like whatever, it doesn't be that crazy, but really whatever, just to bring some sort of awareness of realizing, like, why am I being the way I am? And like, why do I think it serves me? Because I think the only reason we ever do anything, I think that motivational mechanism is any choice we ever make is because we think it serves us in some way, even if it doesn't. So it's like having the awareness of like, why am I choosing this? Why am I acting this way? And like, why don't I choose to go deeper? Why don't I choose to be different? And I'm by no way perfect at this. I do this, ask myself all the time, like, why am I choosing this pattern? Because somehow I think it serves me. Like, and there's been times if like you break that and you choose to go deeper, it opens other people up. But like what you're saying, we're all just running these patterns. It takes one person to like have the courage to break the script, which like gives other people permission to be themselves.
Absolutely,
but it can be scary, dude. It's like, but why is it scary? It's like we're so used to like numbing who we are.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of us, like we care too much what people think. When it doesn't matter, there's no logical reason it matters.
Yeah.
It's still a daily struggle,
What's crazy, so if you go deeper to that, because that's 100%, but it's like, I don't really think we actually care what people think. It's like what we think about ourselves. So it's like, this person thinks this opinion of me, which it only matters if I make it mean something. Like, I think, but if a stranger or like some guy from the street is like, dude, I hate the way your face looks, I'll be like, that's okay, dude. Like, it probably does. But like, if someone I care about, then I might buy into that story and be like, oh, maybe it does. And this means that I'm not lovable or I'm not this. And so it's like, I like to like take that stuff and like, okay, so I care what they think. I really am just buying into, it's not even what they think. It's what I am choosing to buy into about myself, you know? But at the end of the day, you're right. It's still like that stuff is there. I think it's important to like really question, like, what is actually happening? Do I care what they think, or do I care whether I actually agree with what they think?
Man, that's a great point. Because if something bothers you, it's clearly because you maybe believe it a little bit, right?
Yeah,
That's a
there's
great
some people
point.
who aren't phased by nothing. Like people say stuff and they're like, okay, cool, because they don't believe it. It doesn't bother them, and it's only because if we actually have that within us that it can trigger us. But if people, that's why I think that like only if something lives in you and it's not like healed, for lack of a better word, can it affect you. Otherwise, if someone acts in a certain way instead of reacting, then it's a place we just come with compassion or like, oh, they don't know any better, so of course they're going to think that or act like that. So it doesn't like change. Like what you're saying is so valid because I still care what certain people think of me, but that really is like an imitation. Like, damn, like why do I actually, what is that sharing about how I believe about myself? You know, and it's like it's a key to that can unlock a greater degree of freedom. It's never about them. It's always about how I see myself, you know? But yeah.
I find that a lot of musicians, or not musicians, magicians that I either discover online or meet, feel like there's this interest in like the esoteric, into consciousness, into unraveling the self, and kind of like seeking deeper meaning in the life universe, like trying to uncover what does it all mean, what is the truth. Just sort of like interested in epistemology. Do you think like there's something about a magician, like the trait of like discovering how something works? Like with a magic trick, it's like you see a magic trick and you're amazed and you're like, I got to figure out how that works. I want to know how like that's possible. Do you think those traits go hand in hand? Because I do know like a lot of magicians I've seen talk like on the internet, it's like they're all a lot of them are very like, they get into these consciousness topics and self-discovery topics because I feel like it's like, I need to know the truth. And it's like, I don't know if it has to do with that a little bit, but
That's
it's
funny.
interesting.
Hey, I'm gonna try my fan on real quick, yeah, that's a great question, dude. It's funny you say that, dude, because sorry, I'm in shorts. I just like can't.
We don't even have pants on, so you're
All right,
good.
sweet, dude.
No.
So it's funny, dude, because I feel like I think things are changing because when I grew up in the magic way, it was like people were like psychics aren't real. All the supernatural is a scam. They shut down. You listen to he's on a recent. I think he was on Steve-O's podcast, and he's just like shuts it down. And feel like I've experienced real magic, like, you know, in ceremonies and rituals and also outside of it completely sober. And I'm like, I know, and I've experienced like real telepathy completely sober, like crazy stuff that's like intentionally like, freaked me out, man. I was like running around the parking lot like I saw a magic trick. Like I got crazy things. And so for me, I'm like, oh, I really believe in this. And because of that, it helped me go deeper. But now recently, I am finding magicians who are coming out of the woodworks who I think are really like cutting edge. And dude, there's this one guy, I think his name is Anson Chen. He's an Asian dude. And he combines like hypnosis with magic and like esoteric things. Dude, he'll push people over without touching them. And he'll do really interesting, miraculous things. But he has a book. It's for magicians. It's called Reality is Magic, which is like right on my alley. And he goes into these deeper things. And so I'm stoked. I do think more magicians are coming out. I just think in general, people are becoming less weirded out by like this kind of stuff. And so I think naturally magicians are part of that. And like it's going to have you go deeper. Like for me, and that's like for me, magic is, you know, when I started seeing people freak out so much, where I've had people kick me out of their house at a party. I've had people fall on the ground, like crawling, crying. And when you start seeing this enough times, I'm like realizing like it starts like doing something to you. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not just like being like, oh, that's a cool trick. I'm literally constructing a reality for someone. Like it's like that makes you question what is our reality constructed of? And if you understand what makes a reality, then you know how to play with it a little more. And so when I was seeing that people were having these real crazy experiences to things that weren't happening, that's when I was like, whoa, people are having a real visceral experience, something that's not happening. And that's the nature of illusion. You know, it takes our attention for it to, illusions are real, but they're not fundamental facts about reality, but they're real experiences. And when I started seeing that, I'm like, oh, every single thing that I'm doing is creating a story in someone's mind. So much so sometimes, dude, I've had people, I'll tell people, like, first of all, I believe it's all real, but also what I'm doing is not real. If what I was doing was real, it wouldn't be that impressive because I'm just really doing it, right? But I think it's impressive that I can convince you that I'm doing something that I'm not doing. And I've had people like not believe me, like, no, you're 100% reading my mind. That's what you have to say. I'm like, damn. I'm that like I'm creating a construct in their mind so much. But then that is what I look at myself and like, I just left this gig right before this call, and I was kind of anxious about it all week. It was kind of like a rowdy like crowd, kind of reminds me of like Wolf of Wall Street. It's like this business. They're like celebrating their sales and like it's wild. I just felt like an awkward energy because I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna be. And it was awesome. And the reason I'm saying that is I'm like, man, the story in my mind all week was producing this like contraction. And it felt so real. And it's just like crazy how stories make you feel that something is real in every way, but it's not. And so, anyways, just all to say is like, yeah, as a magician, like seeing how this can make people 100% immersed in realities that aren't happening is like, oh, this is what this whole thing is about, is a psychological drama that feels real in every way but isn't. It's trippy.
Yeah, dude, I immediately forgot what I was going to ask you.
That's awesome,
yeah.
dude.
So, you kind of saying like you were, what did you say? Like you were constricted, or you had this kind of like,
yeah,
contraction about like this thing that's coming up. And that's so relatable because I feel like that's always like a future event. You just like build this idea of what it's going to be, and then you do it, and then it's usually fine. Like for the most part, it's usually good. And what I always find interesting though is that, there's this kind of weird balance of like, you can be really afraid to do something and convinced that it's going to go terribly, but then you show up to do it and it just goes really well. And sometimes I feel like you can still have those thoughts and it doesn't mean it's going to turn out bad, because it's like just the bravery you have of showing up. I feel sometimes the universe will like be like, no, it's all good. Like just because you showed up, like you're good. Like there's not going to be a challenge because you're willing to go through it. I know it's maybe not exactly, relevant to what you said, but you know what I'm saying?
I think there's something to that. And even if like I have had awkward, challenging moments, but like usually it's not as bad as I think they're going to be. And sometimes things do still happen. And it's made me better. And like so many times people don't even realize what's happening. Like I'll do something and I think it's terrible, but no, everyone's like, dude, like I did a gig yesterday, there's this show, and like I like know it was good, but there was something that kind of like there's also stuff that wasn't up to speed with what I thought, and I've just been like slightly bothering me. But the reactions or the reviews I was getting from it is like really good. And I'm like, people don't even know. But I also realized that like it's also like zooming in too much, that like why am I afraid of challenges? Because I think that fear is always our like signal to like do that thing. Because I think I mean, my personal opinion is like what people call like enlightenment is just essentially having like a very completely malleable like personality where it's the infinite. And I think fear is the border of our personality, our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs, what we think we are, what feels good. And so anytime we go into a fear, we stretch who we are a little bit. We can hold more of who we truly are. We can hold more life. Where we feel more empowered. And even if like I do think the willingness to go into that usually like it is honored. And even if things go crazy, I find that if you stay in a positive state, eventually that thing that went wrong is like a gift. Like it's like, oh, if that didn't go wrong, like this thing wouldn't have happened, which wouldn't have happened. It's all. Have you guys heard that classic, the Buddhist parable of this farmer's son like got in an accident and got his legs chopped off, and someone's like, oh, that's terrible, and the farmer goes, maybe it's terrible, I don't know if it's terrible,
I think I've heard
and
that
then
one.
the army comes and wants to recruit, and he goes, oh, I can't recruit, this, and it just keeps going. It's like, oh, maybe everything's neutral. And but I think regardless, there's something there about like finding out that resistance and like doing that thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a question in my notes. I saw that you've done some like massive corporate events and stuff and worked with some crazy brands. And I was wondering, if you had like that exact thing, if you've ever had where something just goes completely unexpected, because like you're talking, having things with sleight of hand or mentalism, I'm sure there's many moments where something just goes completely the opposite of like what you want, but it's like, it's nerve wracking because you're like holding people's attention to you. So are there ever moments that you can like distinctly remember where something like went extremely wrong and you just had to react in the moment and like play it off? And because I mean, you mentioned most of the time people don't even notice or are like, as long as you hold that attention in a certain degree, like you can still make the trick go through even if something like fails.
100%. I mean, it's happened in the past few days multiple times, but like, so what that teaches me, one, is like people feel how you feel. If you feel awkward, they feel awkward. If something happens and you go, classic, that's crazy. Like, can you believe that happened? Everyone's like, oh, that's, but yeah, dude, like, I mean, there's been little things that happen where I got like nervous. Like, okay, at the gig yesterday, I do this thing where the whole point is, I write this prediction down. I have someone think of something, and then I have it predicted. And then it goes into like, but that's the first level that has to happen for it to go into a crazier thing. And like, I totally forget to write it down beforehand. So they say what the thing is, and I just couldn't do anything with it. I'm like, oh, you just know what it was. And like, it was just like an awkward moment. I built this whole thing up of like, boom, this is going to happen, boom. And then I was like, all right, so what are you thinking of? And I went to go show them the prediction. And I was like, I never wrote it down. So like, we're building this whole moment. And it was just like, but then I pivoted and they didn't know what was going to happen. So that's a key to magic, is you never tell the end. So they didn't know. They thought I was just doing this whole thing, and they said it. And I go, you know what? Forget this. Let's make it crazier. And then I went into something and I had them think of something else, and then I read their mind. But dude, I did a wedding for my friends, and I do this trick in the show where I say, hey, we're gonna create a very impossible moment out of like your all your moments. So I have everyone pull up their calculator, and I have people like start naming years that were special to them. And so everyone just starts adding, like everyone just like, you name a year, and everyone in the audience adds up, people's, information, like 3 or 4 different numbers. So it equals just a random number from, completely random people. And so it equals this random number. And I say, hey, I predicted this, whatever. There's a whole thing, but I unscroll this prediction, and it predicts the number. And then when you flip the number upside down, it spells out like the last name of like the bride and the groom. It's like crazy. Dude, I was so nervous that, dude, yeah, I messed it up, and I got like the first 2. I mean, there's a whole story to this, like multiple things happen, but essentially like I got the number like 80% right. And it's the finale, and you just had to roll with the punches. It was just so awkward because I'm building this whole thing up, and I was so nervous, and like we added up, we unscrolled it, and it was off by like 2 numbers, and the thing was kind of messed up, and I was just like, brutal. And there's nothing you can do from that moment. I couldn't like do anything else. But it just humbles me, man, and just realize, like, I heard someone say the first step to enlightenment is to lighten up on yourself, not take yourself so seriously. And so what am I going to do? I can like stress about this all night, or I can just be like, classic.
That's great, dude. Yeah.
But dude, it happens all the time. There's things that'll happen that like no one knows, but like happens. And that's the thing about magic, not to like word vomit. When you're like another like skill, it's like people can usually see like how skilled you are, whether it's like songwriting or music or like art or whatever. As a magician, if you're skilled, no one sees what's happening. So like no one knows like what it's so yeah. Anyways. Yeah.
No, that's really cool, man. I wanted to ask you, so I wanted to bring this up. Do you still do like the life coaching stuff as well? Is that what you call it, or I don't know what you would
well, okay. So what happened was I do it. I don't like advertise it, and I don't really like do it necessarily for like money. But yeah, 100%. It's still my life. It's still all I think about is those principles. I think where I got kind of like not jaded from it, but everybody in the world right now, especially in Austin, is like doing this coaching thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to be labeled or put that. I'm not trying to like, throw that out there. And I kind of feel like, I think it's, again, my own judgment. What you were saying, dude, is like what people think about me. You know, I've been, studying and posting this stuff for years, but then I saw like everyone's posting the like stuff. And I didn't want to just be in the noise. I didn't want to be just someone else just talking to talk. So now I've kind of like been a little more quiet about it, but dude, I still talk with people, or like if someone brings it up, like I do it. I just don't really post because everything's become so noisy. Even if it's good stuff, it's just like noise half the time. And I don't want to post stuff just to like post, or like advertise stuff. But if someone's like, if it comes up, I'll, of course, I'm going to reach out or like offer like privately.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, the reason I wanted to ask is because I did some sessions with you a couple years
Yeah, those were
ago.
good times.
And dude, they were really, you were really helpful, man. Like genuinely,
Thank
and,
you, man.
there's a reason I wanted to do that. I feel like I don't remember exactly what I was going through at the time, but I think just a lot of the things you talked about, they really just helped, I feel like a lot of it was the stuff that I already kind of knew, but just sometimes you got to hear it. And I
Dude.
remember the one thing you said was like, always do the thing that feels like immediately good or fun. Like you said something along that lines, just listen to your whatever. You have like a small like intuition thing. And after that call, I think I told you this, but I had been wanting to like, kind of transition like filmmaking and make a movie and whatever. And after that call, I just sat there and I was like, okay, what just immediately feels good? And I just had like inkling, pick up your guitar, picked it up. I wrote like this theme song for this movie, recorded it, got it mastered. And now it's like me and Dustin, we're wrapping up shooting that movie in a couple months. And we've been working on it for like a couple years. And like I ended up meeting him, but just so many like synchronicities. And
That's all. Is that for the, you had like it was like a horror series? That was it is?
Firelight. Yeah, that's what
Dude,
it's
I
called.
saw I think it was a trailer. Yo, crazy good, man. I didn't know what to expect. Can I just expand on what you said about the
Yeah,
thing
absolutely, dude.
So yeah, that's like a principle I live my life by that I got from, Bashar, if you know who that is, but whatever. So essentially it's not so much about the feeling good, because who is it? His name's Joseph Murphy, like follow your bliss kind of vibe. I think so this is like a 5-step formula essentially. I think if you ever feel lost about anything, this formula is all you need to it becomes it creates synchronicity in your life in every way, bringing you what you need when you need it in the exact time. And so what it is to follow your highest excitement in every single moment, taking it as far as you can possibly take it, using all your resources, all your imagination, all your inspiration, until you can take that action no further. And then the last part is with no insistence at all of what the outcome should be. And it's important because most people get, they say, oh yeah, it's follow your bliss, follow your excitement. And it's like, no, that's only the first step or two, and excitement. Sometimes like people don't do that for so long, they don't know what it is. And so it might be as small as like pick up your guitar. And it's not necessarily like, holy shit, I'm excited. It's really like, what's the most expansive out of all my options? What feels that has the most curiosity, playfulness, expansive energy? It could be fun. It might feel a little more peaceful. It might feel, sometimes it's even fear, but you know that actually feels slightly expansive. And then you do that as far as you can possibly take it until you literally can't take any other action on it using all your imagination. And that last step is, with no insistence of the outcome. And that part I think is so crucial, because sometimes we're like, well, I'm going to do this to get this. And when this doesn't happen, we go, shit, something happened. This didn't work. But sometimes sometimes it manifests beautifully. Sometimes we do that thing and nothing happens, but it wasn't about that thing. It was about getting us to move in a different direction. And it's sometimes that thing just gets us to move. And then once we move, it might direct us into a completely different spot. But if you didn't pick up your guitar, you wouldn't have done that, which wouldn't have done that. And so I'd be like, go make a sandwich, go on a walk, call your grandma,
Yeah.
or it could be something big. And eventually, like if you just keep doing that, And even when negative things happen, you stay in a positive state. You know, you can only perceive what you're the residence of. So if you stay in a positive state, then you'll only be able to see the positive outcome, even if it doesn't make sense. But that's where the magic happens. Magic happens in the unknown. Magic happens in the chaos, in the mystery, not in the familiar. So it's just like dive into those things. The soul speaks in the heart, not the mind. Like picking how is my guitar going to lead to, you know, but or really it was even like having the call with me, bro. You probably just felt like a random, like, who is this magician gonna hop on a call with him? And then like it
Yeah.
just
I
led
felt like
to,
pretty pulled for some reason to like do that. I don't know.
yeah. But if you feel like that's gonna lead to, you know, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And
you
here
know,
we are again, you know,
here
years
we
later.
are. We're running it back, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah, it's
sure.
funny how sometimes we want motivation to take an action, but it's like sometimes, well, most of the time actually action kind of leads to the motivation. And it's like that sometimes, like, especially when you're stuck, I feel like in life it's like you just need to do something that
Yeah.
will lead to some like tangential outcome. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I
100%.
find that it's hard sometimes when you just don't have any motivation or inspiration, but it's like,
Yeah.
I think people are looking for some mental stimulation to come from nowhere
Yeah.
and then do something, when it's like, you just got to do something.
100%.
And then,
Even if
yeah.
it's not like what I think is like, so what you put out is what you get back, I believe. It's like one of the laws of the universe. So even if you do the wrong thing, there's no wrong actions. I think that if what you put out is what you get back, then the universe rewards your willingness to take action. So if you're like, I don't know what, dude, that was for me. So at one point, man, I actually stopped doing magic because I felt I was in Florida. I was 28. I'm a beach boy on the beach making like, depending on season, 12 to 15 bucks an hour. Like, didn't know what I was doing. Stopped magic. You know, this is like 7 years ago. Then became a personal trainer, but I felt lost and I wasn't taking any action. And then I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do. I have to do something. I'm just going to be a beach boy. But being that beach boy, dude, there's a whole like story on how that taught me so much, which got me to be a personal trainer, which got me to want to help people, which got me to invest in myself and blah, blah, blah. It got me to Austin, Texas, which then that got me to do magic. But I almost became an insurance agent like 4 years ago. But as I was doing just random stuff, I started asking, is this the thing that actually is my highest excitement? Or am I masking my excitement with anxiety and masking my anxiety as excitement and getting clear on that? But just taking action, the willingness to take the action is what leads you. And I don't think there is any wrong action. But I also agree, dude, like, you know, I think that it's like action is the language of physical reality. So I think so many times the reason we feel stagnant is because we get an inspiration and then we don't do anything about it for whatever reason. The fear of if this happens, so we procrastinate. We say one day we'll do this, or I don't know, and so we don't do anything. But the action is what grounds that inspiration into physical reality, and only when you flow it can you get more. So it's like, get that you take some kind of action. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if we don't take action, then eventually we're just up here and we feel completely, you know,
Yeah.
crazy, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like you have to give something to get something in a sense. And
Yeah,
like you're
it's a
giving
circle.
something to the universe by like just showing up in some weird way, like doing anything. And then the universe is like, all right, here you go. Here's like a little feedback loop. And then, oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Really
Yeah,
cool.
it's like, can you just like do something and have faith? Like, you know, like a little kid just trying things out. Like the parents not like, you didn't do the right thing. It's like, oh, but your willingness is like, it's building that respect. Like it shows how much you want something, you know. You try your best, even if it's the wrong action, eventually something's going to start working out.
Yeah, and what I've learned over the last couple of years, like I kind of turned away from doing music and touring and all that and just kind of shifted my life path quite a bit. And I feel like since letting go of a lot of that, and I've talked about this on the pod a lot, but just kind of realizing a lot of that toward the end of like my career or touring career, whatever you want to call it, it just so much of it was like fear-based, ego-based, like I'm worried about all these things, like all the numbers and like just living so much through that and always everything I did, like worrying about the outcome. And I feel like this stuff that we've been doing, like even just the podcast or the film, like I don't feel that attachment. And it's just because I spent so long worrying about that. I feel like it's just so much more fun. And then it usually ends up just being better because you're just not worried about that. And I think trusting that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is just really the one that's making all that. It's just letting it happen through you. And I would assume it's the same with like performing. Like you said, your higher self, being on stage, you're just allowing that through kind of.
But it's cool, dude. Thanks for sharing that, man. Because like you had to have like had those experiences to like teach you like a better way to be, And same with me, it's like those are not mistakes. Like they were all beneficial, and it was a perfect version of what it was. I don't think there's any mistakes. Every single thing or person is a perfect version of whatever that is, and that's a needed piece. If that wasn't in the universe, if that version of that wasn't here, like. A piece would be missing. We need all the polarities of all the situations to make up the whole thing. And but yeah, it's like, oh, like I got to like do this for a while and see how it wasn't working, so I can see how it is working. And then when you see a different way to be, you can start stepping into that and getting more into flow and realizing that, oh, magic is the natural way of things. If I can just surrender and like chill a little bit, things kind of work out, but maybe not in the way that I thought they were going to work out. But it's like one of my favorite paradoxes is that the more you try and control things, the more out of control you feel. And the more you actually surrender is when you're actually in the most control. Because then you're in the built-in control of like the higher intelligence.
So like, true, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it's cool to see your story, dude. And you've put out music in the past few months, haven't you?
Yeah, I still make music. And it's just like touring and kind of letting that be my whole life or identity, because that's kind of what it turned into. It's just more of like, oh, that's just something I do now. Like it's, just when I feel like doing it.
Man. I want to say something without being like, I mean this sincerely, bro. Your music's some of like the music that makes me feel the deepest, bro. It's like some of my favorite.
Thank you, man.
Feel a whole lot. And I'm not just saying that because I know you or whatever. Like it's really beautiful, man. And so I love your music, dude. So I'm glad to hear that you're still like making stuff.
Dude. I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
And I'm stoked to see the film stuff, man. That stuff, from what I saw, was like really sick. I was super impressed.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, that's been like a massive growth journey. Like just, I don't know. We shot it's like 3 separate stories, and like we shot our first one, didn't know what we were doing, and we shot these 2 other ones, and now we're going to reshoot the first one just because of how much we've grown. And it was like scary, it's like, don't know what we're doing. We're just showing up with a camera and a couple guys, and it's like suddenly now we know how to do it all properly, and it's like just from showing up and doing it, like just like you said.
Dustin, are you like, what's your role in that? I know,
Yeah, so I actually, kind of funny, like I grew up a music. Well, I've been a musician pretty much my whole life, and I found Braden's music maybe 10 years ago now, and I was like super into. Like I was a big fan of Braden's music, and it's funny because as I kind of like started my career, I had Braden feature on one of my songs back in like 2019, and that song actually kind of like sparked my music career, like where I was actually able to do it as like what I do. And it's just kind of funny because as I continued my journey, I opened for Braden at one of his shows in Minneapolis one time, and I learned about this project he had planned, this Farlight film, and I was like, well, I love cinematography. I shoot all my own music videos.
Oh, cool.
Me and my friend just like shoot everything and edit everything, color grade everything ourselves. And I fell so deeply in love with that I was like, I really like want to try filmmaking out. And it's funny because Braden like, had this project that he was going to film in Canada. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to like ask him, when I open up for him, if he needs any help with it. Like, I'd just love to help out. Basically, that's kind of how we connected, me and him. And then, so we're basically 2 musicians just trying our luck at a movie.
That's awesome.
But it's been cool. So it's like what I bring to it is more just like the producing it, help making it happen, just filling in any little role I need to. And then we have my cinematographer friend Josh. He kind of came on as sort of behind the camera, helping with the lighting and all that. So we're both just kind of filling whatever role needs to be.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Awesome.
He played like this kind of like farmer creature guy in one of them, and he's standing there in like overalls and boots, like holding the boom mic, like
Right, yeah.
really just do everything we need to.
Did you guys like? What's your background? Did you ever do acting or anything, Braden, or like, or you? I know you. So you did some cinematography stuff, Dustin, but like, what got? I know you want, but this stuff's good. So like, I feel like if your average person was to do it, like, is it just natural like inspiration and talent, or do you have background in some of this stuff, or?
I mean, it's kind of the same for me. Started with music videos, like learning like all the aspects, and then I started pursuing acting a bit. Got random roles in some little things, and then I worked on like a legit Christmas movie. Like got a role, and then
cool.
did all the music. So I got to see more of like fully how it's done. I got to know the director, and then I moved to Toronto, like downtown. I started doing background work on like Netflix shows and like Prime show, like big sets. And I was like, man, there's nothing like this, and I think part of it is that like, I don't know, like I kind of realized like I can't just wait around and like try to wait to maybe get good at acting and then I can get cast in something. I was like, I just want to write something that I can be in and make and like just make it happen, because I think you can wait around forever. And I think film and acting has always been my deepest passion, but music was just like the route that made sense, kind of, if that makes sense. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no training or anything though, just doing it, man.
Just absorbed it all, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
When you guys releasing it?
We're wrapping up filming in October and spend all winter doing the post. So I would assume next year.
Cool, man. I'm so stoked to see it.
Yeah, dude, love to show you, man. It's it's really important to us. And
are you guys releasing it on like a YouTube, or like is it like a Patreon thing, or?
I mean, we're aiming for Netflix, man. I mean, it'll at the very least, I would say it'll be on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
and
perfect.
Stuff like that.
Dude.
It'll be legit streaming.
Higher, dude. It's my bad. That's awesome.
If someone picks it up, like a streaming service, that'd be awesome. But I think that, like I said, it's like being unattached to that. If anything happens, that's a bonus. But we're already like, we've written the next film and we're ready to do it, so.
Yeah, it's just, again, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like, as long as like this is what is like, this has the most expansive energy, don't know what's going to happen from it. And, it's like Steve Jobs says, you can't connect the dots looking forward, only looking back.
Yeah.
So maybe something happens immediately. Maybe it turns into something completely different,
It's just, it's kind of more fun.
I'm stoked to, sorry, I just want to say I'm stoked to like, whatever happens, I'm stoked to like talk in the future and be like, oh, connect the dots. That'd be cool.
Yeah, dude. No, thank you. Thanks for asking about it, man. That's
of course, dude. Yeah, legitimately, it looks awesome. I'm super stoked to see it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you before I forget, the mentalism stuff. So I kind of got introduced to mentalism, I guess, like obviously like Oz Perlman. He's got like probably the viral stuff. And he was recently on a bunch of podcasts, and that stuff is so fascinating to me, because I'm like, it kind of, you're drawing the line between magic, like tricks, like cards, right? Like, and then you have these real phenomenon that we're talking about, which is like telepathy and things that, if you've seen the telepathy tapes, it's like there's this, and mentalism seems like it's like this bridge between like, I feel like the mentalism stuff is the most, it's like the closest, and even though like a lot of it's like illusion based and everything, I feel like it's the closest to like really feeling like, wow, that really is like magic, right? And I was just curious, like how much you've dived into it, or if that's a big part of your act, or if
it's probably half of my act right now. Like,
okay,
so I did this company event, the one I just did right before this call. I did it last year for like their end of quarter sales thing, or whatever. And I did like a little bit, and I did close-up magic, and I did like a couple like two mentalism things for like the whole office, and then I did some like close-up stuff afterwards. First time meeting me. This time they're like, yo, we want you to do 30 minutes of like just mentalism, and then we'll do the rest, like, which is still crazy, close up magic. But they realize like, oh, the mentalism stuff, it is the craziest stuff. Well, sometimes because it's the most personal. And it definitely gets the craziest reactions. Like I told you, that guy was crying the other day, like, because when there's seemingly no props and there's something so personal, something that only exists in your mind, it hits on a different level. Because I think on some way, like, even if you don't know how it works, the magic is like, there's got to be something. But when it's in someone's mind, Like I did that. I told you the people who sometimes believe like don't believe me that it's a trick. I did one like smaller gig or whatever a long time ago. You know, Austin is a big conscious spiritual community, which I'm somewhat a part of. But like, dude, these people are like, oh no, like you're really tapping into the quantum realm, and I'm like, I'm not. Like I believe in it, I'm not. And this is terrible. I have this woman. She's actually like this gnarly science doctor. Like I think she might win some like is the Nobel, some big science, she's like nominated for something crazy. She literally, it's like kind of magic technology where they tap into like in the actual quantum or whatever and do healings for people. Saw a guy who was like in a wheelchair within 15 minutes of her technology. He was like walking. All I have to say is like she's kind of like low key a legend around here, but she sees what I do and she's like, "Hey, I want to talk with you because you're using this quantum stuff for entertainment and I'm using it for science." And at first, like I thought, like I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like a trick," but like she literally thinks it's real. And yeah, so all to say is like the mentalism stuff blurs the line where people just cannot see, and especially do the O's Perlman stuff. It's so funny. There's a website called penguinmagic.com, which people like learn tricks on back in the day. And O's was when I was like 14, he was one of the guys teaching card tricks on Penguin Magic. And now he's like the legend. Sorry, I just went off of random stories. But yeah, I love mentalism. I think my show starts with like magic and then I like my show to go crazier and crazier. So like halfway through, we start switching to like the mental stuff. And yeah, that's when it gets real crazy. Like one of my favorite things in the show is like a two-person telepathy, but instead of people thinking the same thing, they feel the same thing. So I'll like have them close their eyes and everyone's watching, and I never touch one person, but I go to the other person and I'll take a feather and I'll touch them in specific spots different times. And then the other person feels exactly what they'll even say. It feels like a feather. You touched me here this many times. Um, and yeah, that's my favorite stuff, man, because there seems to be no explanation, you know?
I've tried to figure that one out and I can't.
Yeah.
I really can't.
Dude.
So cool.
Yeah, it's so good, man. It's probably one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, it's super fun. But yeah, I love the mentalism stuff, and I have gone into it. It's funny because a lot of the magic principles is what you use to do the mentalism stuff, but you still see it. So sometimes there is like you can use sleight of hand to get information, but you don't know they don't know you're doing sleight of hand because you don't seemingly have stuff. You're doing stuff like O's on Joe Rogan. Okay, so I'm not to like give secrets, but like you're not seeing everything. Like there's a principle called dual reality where the person that you're doing the magic to is having a different experience than the audience. So it to like to every so like to the audience, you think that they're having the same experience that you're having, but they're actually having a slightly different experience than what you're having. It's dual reality. So man, I the methods that O's use are really genius. Like, because see, there's wordplay, and if you watch enough of his stuff and you know a couple of methods, you'll see how he's doing stuff before the camera comes on. Um, so it looks really, really clean. It looks like he just gets there and just goes, "Yo, just randomly think of whatever," and like that's how we experience it. The person who's doing it still thinks, "Oh, he's reading my mind," but there's a slightly other like magical things happening right before it goes on. And if you watch enough YouTube videos, sometimes people like don't realize that, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, remember you had me do this beforehand or something," and like they'll kind of slip, and he'll like talk and be like, "All right." But yeah, I love that stuff. So yeah, and it's interesting too, actually being able to use that stuff to influence people. Like, there's a sleight of hand, but like seeing how people how predictable they are, and using words to get them to like go down certain directions. So with magic, there's ways you can say certain things, kind of like NLP, that like you can guide people to go a certain way. And if it hits perfectly, it's a pure miracle. And if it's close, you can add a little bit of sleight of hand in there, sprinkle it in to still get the same effect. but you can actually just use your words to make people, and you'll notice that people have tendencies to like say to certain things or lean towards certain phrases that will make them choose certain things. Very fascinating.
That's something I wanted to ask you about. So there was like a year, like I said, when I was like super dedicated to learning like sleight of hand and just magic stuff, like, you know, and there was like a couple moments where I like felt like it, not just when I was practicing, but like it kind of expanded my awareness just in general. And I felt like in certain situations, I just was like able to see things differently, or like, I was like, man, I could probably pickpocket somebody. And, you know, like I was, not that you would, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like like, especially for you, who's like at your level, it's got to bleed over into other areas of your life where it's makes you better at certain things, right? Like, I would think.
Yeah, man. When I first started learning about this stuff, which you guys will probably love, there's a guy named Apollo Robbins. Have you seen his stuff? He's a
No.
I haven't heard of him.
So he was a magician. He's a pickpocket who's also a phenomenal magician, but mostly a pickpocket. And he's like cool. He's like he pickpocketed President Carter's Secret Service at an event, and so he's like for that. And so he's been studied, like got confidential papers, and like he's the kind of guy who will say most people won't tell you what they're going to do, so it gives them the edge. He'll say, "Hey, I'm going to take your watch in the next 3 minutes, and you won't even know." Like he'll tell you I'm going to do it, but the reason I'm saying this is because he is a master of the way the mind works. And so I actually met him at sounds cheesy, a magic convention years ago. And he was explaining these things to us, like how you can manipulate people's awareness. And he speaks a little bit about it on this TED Talk. If you look up Apollo Robbins, he does a TED Talk, and you should watch it because I don't want to give it away, but essentially he talks about the nature of awareness and how people's brains and operating systems are. And so I'll use those techniques in my magic. But so he talks about it, and then he brings someone up on stage and does this whole pickpocketing thing on them in order to show you how it works. And then at the end, there's a surprise kicker that happens to everybody where you don't know that he's been doing the same things he's been talking about the whole time on you when you didn't even, it's crazy. So, but it's like something he'll say is like, you know, I mean, it sounds so simple, but like people's like a bubble is like an oval or like an egg shape. So if you want to get close to someone, like obviously if I come straight on at you, you're going to start feeling the tension. If I come right next to you, I can get right within you. And then like if you look up at someone's eyes when you're that close, or even in general, like eyes are a huge direction of energy. Like people look where you look. So that's a huge one, is people look where you look, people feel how you feel. So how you feel and where you look is you're that masculine directing of energy. You're like an orchestra director. So people feel how you feel, they look how you look. And when you ask someone a question, you can do so many things in that moment, because in that moment, people's awareness dulls. Because the moment I ask you a question, hey, what's the date today? You go inside and your awareness is split in half for a second. So if I want to do like a secret move, it should already be pretty invisible. But dude, if you watch me perform, I'm always like, what was your name again? I probably know their name. Doesn't matter. But the moment, what's the date again today? Because the moment I do that, everyone's like, what is the date today? And they might look at what you're doing and they're not going to see it, you know?
Yeah.
So if you ever want to take attention away from yourself, just ask a question, you know? So, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So are you pretty aware now, like, of the things that people don't notice? Because I'm sure at first you're probably like, oh, they're going to see this. Like, are you pretty like aware, like they're not going to see this?
Yeah, but you know what? Every now and then there are people who are super perceptive, and like, so you always have to be on your guard, because majority of the time, like I do a lot of performing, and like, you know, I know what people are going to pick up, what people aren't going to pick up. But I've had people sometimes be like they're the one guy who just like they see things. So you always have to be on your guard. But yeah, man, there's patterns of like how people, like what they see. And also, man, there's a magician called Danny D. Ortiz, which is a Spanish magician.
I've seen his stuff, yeah.
Dude, if you see his Foolis act.
Yeah, I saw that. It was nuts.
It's a master of, that's like very almost like mystical or metaphysical, because he's not just doing like dialed in black and white sleight of hand. He's saying say stop whenever you want. He's doing these things, but he's like feeling into people, and he's timing and using like real psychology, and there's timing forces. So you don't know how many cards they're going to say stop on, but you know the beats. So how I time when I'm laying cards down, there's a beat, and I know the beat they're going to say stop on, or really close to that. And so yeah, I mean that's like a tiny example, but yeah, dude, I'm using all that stuff. I'm using sleight of hand. I'm using eye contact. I'm asking questions, the scripting, and sometimes there's like psychological, like I'm trying to influence people, and like there's oh man, this may not work. Can I try something?
Oh,
It's really
we were
it's
hoping.
really
We were
it's
hoping.
really stupid. It's really stupid. Let me see. I need to like write something down, dude. Yo, I'm just gonna grab something real quick.
Yeah,
Sounds
go
good.
for it.
Perfect. Charles.
All right. This isn't crazy. This is not crazy, but I'll like it's not gonna blow your mind. But like I'm down to like teach you, just to like I'll do it, and then I can just show you the simple method. You guys want to?
Dude, love it. Yeah.
Yeah. One sec. I'm writing down. Hopefully it's not mirrored on here, but what? Hey bud. My dog just sees me talking with the ether and running around. All right, hopefully this isn't mirrored, but all right. Got a prediction. Don't know if this will or make sense through camera, but all right, let's start with Dustin. I want you to imagine you have some like invisible change in front of you. Let's say you have like a nickel, a dime, and a penny. Cool. Okay. Mix them up and just kind of see them floating in the air, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, in the air. All right, we need some options. So with your right hand, would you just grab one of those coins?
Okay.
All right, which one did you grab?
Penny.
Nice. All right, with your left hand, grab another one.
Okay.
Which one did you grab? I can't see, so.
Dime.
The dime, amazing. All right, so was it a penny and a dime?
Yes.
Okay. This isn't going to really make sense through camera, but can you hand me one?
Okay.
All right, what is this?
The penny.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Switch, or do you want?
I'll keep it.
So
I'll
sure.
give you the penny. Okay.
You want the dime?
I'll take the dime.
All right. Flip it up in the air. Put it on your hands, and tell me, is it heads up or is it not heads up?
Not heads up.
All right. Not heads up. And you wanted the dime. I wrote something down, and it says the dime, it's hard to see, will not be heads up.
What? Damn.
All right. Happy to share that with you if you want, and just show you the way that works.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
So this kind of used a little bit of sleight of hand mixed with me trying to influence. So this actually didn't work the best way. It can be actually better. So I write down the dime will not be heads up. So first of all, I'll work backwards with this. I'm forcing you to pick the dime, and I'm kind of forcing you to do this. This is 50-50 heads or tails. I'm trying. The cleanest way is what happened. I kind of forced you to slightly say that. If you would have said it's heads up, I would have covered the knot. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
I just write it in a way where if I'm next to someone, I go, here, what does that say real quick? Dude, I've done this on stage, but I just write it sloppily. So I'm like, yeah, the dime will not be heads up. And it looks like it's perfect here, but I write it slightly awkward. So whatever. Right. But I don't like that. It looks a little awkward. So what I did is I go, all right, so is it heads up or is it not heads up? In that inflection, it almost feels like I want it to be heads up. And I find that when people, whether they feel it or not, they're like, oh, tails feels crazier for some reason. I don't know. It just feels like, oh no, it's tails.
Yeah.
So if I go, But if you play with the inflection when you do it different times, you'll notice that like people will say tails more if you go, all right, so is it heads up or is it not heads up? Kind of like that. So it's almost like hoping it's heads up, and they don't want it to be heads up. And then, so if I just went, is it heads or tails? They might say heads way more often. You don't say is it heads or tails. You go, oh, is it heads up or is it not heads up? So there's that. And and then to get you to pick the dime, you have 3 coins in the air. I said, we need some options. So with your left hand, grab one. If you grab the dime, I go, sweet, we'll use the dime, which happens 1 to 3 times. If you pick the penny and then you pick the nickel, then I say, all right, so what's left in the air? The dime? All right, so you took away the penny and the nickel. I'll take the dime. We'll use the dime. Your way was the worst way that can happen. And if you use actual change, then they pick one up and they pick one up, and you say, cool, put those in your pocket. All right, so we're left with the dime. We eliminated that to the dime. So it's like, and with you picked a penny and a dime. I go, sweet. All right, go ahead and hand me one. If you handed me the dime, I'd say, so this is the one you want me to have? Awesome. This is the one I'll use. And then
Oh yeah.
Yep.
If you take it, I say, all right, so you want that one? And I knew you wouldn't change by the way I asked. If I was like, all right, so you sure you want that? I knew you wouldn't by the way I said it. So it felt like you had a choice.
Because people want to double down on their original choice instead of being like, oh, you want to.
Because it kind of seemed like maybe you wanted him to change a bit, which I feel like is part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it feels like you want to change. Now, again, for some people who are nice, they might but I know you guys, and like you have to read the room. And especially as a magician, a lot of these people they're not going to change, because if they think that I want them to change, then they're going to be like, oh, let's see what he can do. But I make it very nonchalant. I'm like, all right, and I say it in a way where it seems like that. Like, is it heads up or is it not heads up? It's like, it actually freaks people out. It feels lame, but it's pretty simple. And yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I've heard someone explain an actual specific mentalism trick, because I feel like that's the stuff where I'm like, how is that? You just try to think of it a million ways, and you're like, how could that? But you're really just the director of that whole thing.
Yeah, and you don't know where someone's going, and you can have multiple outs. So someone might not know, if you do this, then you do this. If you do this, then you have this. There's so many ways, not to give things away, but let's say you have 5 different choices, and people can pick 5 different ways. Let's say you have 5 different predictions. One appears in your wallet, one appears in your pocket. So if they say this, you pull out of your pocket, and it looks like that's the only choice they had. Or there's different ways you can.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that the Oz Perlman thing on Joe Rogan. I was wondering that last trick he did at the end. He was like, "What's the person you'd want standing across from you, dead or alive?" And then he guessed Miles Davis, and then he's like, "Now I'm talking about the person after that." And then he's like, "Oh, Muhammad Ali." And then I was like, "Oh, is that back up?" Or I don't know.
Yeah, no, okay. So I can tell you how I think this works. I feel bad, but also it's the boys.
Right.
So do a reality at play. Hopefully no magicians will watch this. They'll probably hate me for it. Do a reality at play is what I was saying. So it looks like us that he just spontaneously thinks of something. And I don't know for sure this is how we did it. This is how I would do it. It would still work. I'm pretty sure it's how we did it. So to us, it looks like, hey, think of somebody. You don't know who you're going to think of. You're even changing your mind at this moment, right? They go, yeah, and they get cool. How I would do it, I'll just say that. Beforehand, I say, hey, basically he whittles it down to 2 people. So let's say he has a bunch of names on a bunch of blank cards or something, a bunch of celebrities or people, and he has Joe pick 2 cards. And he knows what the 2 cards are. There's many different ways. He could also just be like, hey, you know what he could have done easier? Is just write the 2 people down that you would want to have dinner with. And somehow it obtains that information secretly without Joe knowing. So now he knows the 2 people. Joe doesn't know that he knows the 2 people. He says, I don't want to do this now. On the show, I want you to decide which of these 2 people are going to be the person on the show. So you don't even know who you're going to decide. Right now, you just have a couple people you're thinking about. I don't know who they are. So yeah, so I say here, think about any couple of people. You don't know who you're going to pick yet, but those will be the 2 people on the show. He goes, all right, think about the person you would have, dinner with or whatever. Now he knows one of those 2 people. And what's cool is if he had it printed out, right? So when he said, who is that person? And he says, if he said Muhammad Ali, and in the middle of it, he goes, you don't know who you're going to say right now, do you? And it's an honest thing. He doesn't know who he's going to say. He goes, is this spontaneous? Yeah, it is spontaneous. You're trying to decide between a few people right now? Yeah, I am. So it looks crazy to us. To him, there's 2 people. And then right before he goes, you thought of Miles Davis? And he goes, but you were also thinking of somebody else right before that. Who? And then, so if he would have said Muhammad Ali the first time, he would have said, perfect, pull the picture out. His back was Miles. He goes, yeah, but there was someone deeper in your mind that you almost said, but you switched at the last second, and then it's that. But that's how I would. But
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
so cool.
reality thing of like, it looks spontaneous to us, but to him, it's like, hey, let's not waste time on the thing doing this. Write down a couple of people we'll do on the show.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You want to see one more quick one?
Yes, please.
Totally.
It'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right, sweet. You know all the cards? I'm just pulling this out. Well, I didn't really prep too much, but Dustin, say stop whenever you want, dude. Because you can't pick one out here. So yeah, we'll just say
Right. Stop.
Right here?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right. What do we got? 4 hearts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, sweet. We'll try this. I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear that?
We'll add some sound effects in. Okay.
Wait. Normally I would give this to you or whatever. It's way cooler in person. We'll see if this works. Look in your pocket. No, I'm playing. That would be crazy. I'm not going to switch this. What if I told you it's been staring in front of your face the entire time?
Yeah, that'd freak me out.
See this picture right here?
No way. Dude.
Whoa.
I'm not switching nothing, dude.
That's amazing.
That's wild.
Oh, dude.
Is the exact piece to this card. It's not like a different piece.
Oh, that's
Dang.
so sick.
That's
dude.
wild.
That's
So
awesome.
kind of cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, dude.
Charles was in
Dang.
on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charles.
Dude, that's so
absolutely.
cool.
He's very
Thanks,
good.
Charles.
Oh, man.
The best.
No,
yeah,
dude,
you guys come
that's-
to Austin, man. I can do way cooler stuff, man. Some of it's hard in between the camera, but
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so cool, dude. It's always like a treat. Like I feel like I really appreciate when people do magic tricks because it's like, I don't
I
know,
love it, dude.
really, yeah, man, so cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
For,
absolutely love doing it. So
yeah, that was
of course.
awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Man,
Dude.
well, this has been one heck of an episode. Really
great times, man.
great
Yeah,
combo,
Yeah.
man.
I appreciate you guys having me. Hopefully, I didn't word vomit too much, but
No,
No,
this
we
was
loved it.
we love when people talk. Like really,
Cool.
Yeah.
I like listening and then being like, oh, that love to talk about that. Instead of trying to pre-plan all the questions and
totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know how it is, man. I used to have a podcast called Mic Drops. And dude, it's tough hosting a podcast and bringing people on sometimes. You got to listen and like plan the next thing to say.
dude, it's like you're always thinking ahead. Like, okay, how can I pivot the conversation?
Yeah, you're trying to be present, but yeah, like how do we pivot? How do we bring it back? How do we? It's a whole it's way harder than
Yeah, and some people
Yeah.
are. It's easier with some people, and then some people like the energy. There's some weird kind of thing that's like you gotta work at it,
Yeah.
and it's cool to learn though. Yeah, that's part of why we wanted to do it is to just get better at that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. 2 introverts hosting a podcast.
Dude, I get it, dude. I get that's with magic. It's a whole thing. When I was doing my podcast, like half the episodes are just me talking on like this weird stuff, and half of it's like me bringing guests on, and it is. Yeah, I feel like I'm more of an introvert. Magic is like my higher self, but then like I'm just chilling. But then as a podcast host, you gotta what up, boom, boom, boom,
Right.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, cool. I really appreciate you having me on, man, and it's great to meet you, Dustin and Braden. Always good to see you, man.
No, I'm so glad we got to catch up, man. Sometimes I feel like the podcast too is like a good way to catch up with
Totally.
people because it's not really a podcast, just people on a Zoom call. You call it a podcast, So
About weird stuff.
yeah,
Where
dude.
can I find y'all's podcast at?
It's on YouTube and Spotify.
Okay.
I'll send you a link to the channel. It's Amber Forest Podcast.
Cool.
What's the channel, Dustin? Amber Forest Pictures?
The channel's Amber Forest Pictures. Yeah, we started the film production company, and we're like, oh, let's host a weekly podcast on the channel. So yeah, Amber Forest Podcast. But
oh, cool, man. Yeah, I want to start listening, man. It's awesome.
Is there anything you want to like promote or like put out there before we stop, just for people who want to like follow your journey or whatever?
I mean, yeah, nothing to really promote. If you want to follow anything I do, I'm always posting magic stuff or like, the stuff we talked about. You know what I'll promote? I'll promote my whole podcast, dude. If you go to Mic Drops on Spotify, if you want to like, I go way deeper. I used to have like full episodes that were like 20 minutes long about going into like everything we've talked about, Braden, various stuff that I've talked about. I took crazy stories and the physics of whatever we talked about, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's the crazy stories and just that. And so the podcast I haven't done, I kind of put it to the side. But I do want to bring it back at some point. So it feels kind of relevant if you want to go into anything deeper that I've talked about with magic or the stuff. Mic Drops. It's like a weird spirally microphone hypnosis looking graphic. And my Instagram is just my name, Michael Rogerson, with no spaces. And I'm posting, magic and just random stuff on there. So
yeah, we'll put all the links in the description for everyone.
Sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna check it out.
Cool.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, such a freaking pleasure to kick it with you guys, dude, virtually.
Likewise, man. Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, super fun.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, tuning in. And
Cool.
Great having Michael on the pod. And we will catch y'all on the next one, as always. So have
Peace.
a great that's our little tagline at the end. We'll catch you in the next one,
I love it.
So anyways, thank you all for watching.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.
End the recording.
Stop the old.